Hi all, now that the Marantz is safely stored away, I have a little fan to give some attention to. It's got a stiff bearing problem, so see how fast that goes to a stop, and if I turn it on, well, that's as fast as it turns, and it draws 0.45 amps from the line. And on the bottom, it's not supposed to draw quite that much. So, time to pull it apart and lube the bearings. The front bearing isn't the problem here because, after I've unbolted it here, if I give it a spin, it spins all over the place without any resistance. So, that's quite free to move, and the motor shaft is still quite stiff, and that's with the transmission disengaged as well, so it's probably the back bearing. Onto that. There's a little rotor out of it, and at the other end is the worm gear, which is machined right onto the motor shaft, and that goes inside the gearbox for the oscillation part. Looking in there, the rear bearing is a little bit grimy and also a little bit dry, so I think that's where the problem is. After a few drops of 3-in-1 oil, the shaft can actually coast for a little bit after I spin it by hand. Didn't do that before, it would just almost immediately come to a stop. Gonna give the front bearing a couple drops of oil, stick it back on, put the fan blades on, and see if this thing will fire up. Got the fan blades on just for a test. As you can see, they now freewheel for quite some time after I set them spinning, whereas before they would stop almost immediately. And if I turn it on, both high and low settings actually have the blades moving at a decent speed. It's blowing some air, and it takes a while to coast to a stop. There we go, all put back together and working well for the first time in several years. Thanks for watching.